let's look at a lesson from Kannada grade 3. The name of this lesson is BAALAKIYA SAAHASA. Balaki means a young girl. Sahasa is bravery. So the bravery of a girl. That is the meaning of this title. ಅಂದು 2013 ಜೂನ್ 16 ಮುಸ್ಸಂಜೆಯ ಹೊತ್ತು ಉತ್ತರಾಖಂಡದ ಕೇದಾರನಾಥ ದೇವಾಲಯದ ಪರಿಸರದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂದೆಂದೂ ಕಂಡದಿರ ಭೀಕರ ಮಳೆ. So this is year 2013. 2013 means year 2013 and 16th June. So on 16th June in the year 2013 during evening in Uttarakhand, Kedarnath temple, in the temple of Kedarnath which is in Uttarakhand, in that atmosphere there was a very big rain. Nobody had seen such a heavy rain before, such a dreadful and a heavy rain before. ದೇವಾಲಯದೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರು ನುಗ್ಗಿತು. ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಪ್ರವಾಸಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದ ಭಕ್ತ ಸಮೂಹ ದಿಕ್ಪಾಲಾಗಿ ಹೋಗಿತ್ತು. ದೆಹಲಿಯಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದ ಮಹಿಕಾ ಗುಪ್ತಾ ಎಂಬ 9 ಹರೆಯದ ಬಾಲಕಿ ಕೇದಾರನಾಥ ದೇವಾಲಯದ ಒಳಗಿದ್ದಳು. So it was such a dreadful rain and there were a lot of tourists who had visited the temple and the rainwater entered the temple. And all the devotees, they were confused, shocked and they didn't know what to do. And from Delhi there was a girl by name Mahika Gupta who was 9 years old and she was also inside the temple during the floods. ಅವಳ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ ಹಾಗೂ 4 ಹರೆಯದ ತಮ್ಮ ಕಾಣಿಸಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮಹಿಕಾ ಗಾಬರಿಯಿಂದ ಬೊಬ್ಬಿರಿದಳು. ಪ್ರವಾಹದ ಗದ್ದಲಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಕೇಳಿಸಲಿಲ್ಲ. ದೇವಾಲಯದ ಸರಳೊಂದನ್ನು ಹಿಡಿದು ಆಕೆ ನೇತಾಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದಳು. And she had come along with Mahika Gupta had come along with her parents and her 4-year-old younger brother. But nobody was seen around her. She got scared and she started screaming and crying loudly. But because of that noise of the water and rain, nobody could hear her screaming. And finally, she was holding a rod and hanging from that rod. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಮಯದ ಅನಂತರ ಓರ್ವ ಬಾಲಕನ ಚೀತ್ಕಾರ ಕೇಳಿಸಿತು. ಆಕೆ ಕಿವಿಗೊಟ್ಟು ಆಲಿಸಿದಳು. ಆ ಧ್ವನಿ ಮಹಿಕಾಳ ತಮ್ಮನದು. ಜಲಪ್ರವಾಹವು ಆತನನ್ನು ರಭಸದಿಂದ ಒಳಕ್ಕೆ ಎಸೆಯಿತು. ಆತನ ಕಾಲೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಬಡಿಯಿತು. So when Mahika was hanging from a rod, she heard a little time later, after some time, she heard a boy screaming. She heard the screams of a boy. And she listened carefully and she recognized the voice. It was the voice of her younger brother. And the floods, the water of the floods had pulled him down and he hit his leg against a stone. ಮೂಳೆ ಮುರಿದೇ ಹೋಯಿತು. ಮಹಿಕಾಳಿಗೆ ಈಜು ಬರುತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೂ ಧೈರ್ಯಗೆಡದೆ ಅವನತ್ತ ಕೈ ಬೀಸಿದಳು. ಆತನನ್ನು ಬಲವಾಗಿ ತನ್ನೆಡೆಗೆ ಸೆಳೆದುಕೊಂಡಳು. ರಭಸವಾಗಿ ಬರುತ್ತಿದ್ದ ನೀರು ಮಣ್ಣು ಅವರ ಮೂಗು ಬಾಯಿಗಳಿಗೆ ನುಗ್ಗಿತು. So she heard a loud scream and it was her brother who was pulled away in the water in the flood. His leg hit against a stone and it looked like his bone was broken. And Mahika did not know how to swim. But still bravely she put her hand and she pulled her brother towards herself. And since the water was coming in full force, it was gushing in so much that the water, mud, everything got into their nose and mouth. ಆದರೂ ಅವಳು ಎದೆಗುಂದಲಿಲ್ಲ. ತನ್ನ ಪುಟ್ಟ ತಮ್ಮನನ್ನು ರಕ್ಷಿಸುವುದೊಂದೇ ಅವಳ ಗುರಿಯಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಸಹಾಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಅರಚಾಡಿದಳು. ಯಾರೂ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಸುಳಿಯಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನೀರು ಮತ್ತೂ ಏರುತ್ತಿತ್ತು. And she was not bothered in spite of all that water getting into her mouth and her nose. She was not bothered. She only wanted to protect her brother. That was only her aim. She wanted to protect her younger brother. And she started screaming for help, but nobody came for help. and the level of the water also started to rise. ರಾತ್ರಿ ಇಡೀ ಮಹಿಕಾ ತನ್ನ ತಮ್ಮನನ್ನು ಅಪ್ಪಿಕೊಂಡು ಸರಳನ್ನು ಹಿಡಿದು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಕುಳಿತಿದ್ದಳು. ಹೊಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಕೊಚ್ಚೆ ನೀರೇ ಆಹಾರ. ಮತ್ತೂ ಒಂದು ದಿನ ಕಳೆಯಿತು. ಮೂರನೆಯ ದಿವಸಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರಿನ ರಭಸ ತಗ್ಗಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ದ ಹೋಲ್ ನೈಟ್ she was hanging on that rod, hugging her brother and hanging on that rod. And only this dirty water kept entering into their mouth. It felt like as though that was only their food. And one more day passed. That day the floods happened. That day night passed. Then the next day also passed. And then on the third day the water levels came down. ರಕ್ಷಣಾ ಪಡೆಯವರೊಂದಿಗೆ ಆಕೆಯ ತಾಯಿ ದೇವಾಲಯದೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದರು. ಸೊ ಹರ್ ಮದರ್ ಕೇಮ್ ವಿತ್ ಸಮ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದ ವಾಟರ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಕೇಮ್ ಡೌನ್. ಶಿ ಕೇಮ್ ವಿತ್ ಸಮ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಆರ್ಮಿ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಬಂದರು. ತಮ್ಮನನ್ನು ತಬ್ಬಿಕೊಂಡು ಅನ್ನ ನೀರಿಲ್ಲದೆ ನಿತ್ರಾಣ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗೋಡೆಗೊರಗಿ ಕುಳಿತಿದ್ದ ಮಹಿಕಾಳನ್ನು ಕಂಡರು. ಸೊ they saw weak Mahika who was holding her hand against the rod, and she had rested against the wall and she was sitting. She was looking so weak and tired and hungry because she had no food. Then Tammanannu, and she was hugging her younger brother and sitting there. ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನು ಆ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಡ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ದುಃಖ ಉಮ್ಮಳಿಸಿ ಬಂತು. ಆಕೆ ಇಬ್ಬರನ್ನು ಗಟ್ಟಿಯಾಗಿ ತಬ್ಬಿಕೊಂಡಳು. And the mother, looking at the condition of her children, felt so sad. She went running and she hugged them. ಮರುದಿನ ಮಹಿಕಾಳ ವೀರಗಾಥೆಯನ್ನು ಪತ್ರಿಕೆ, ದೂರದರ್ಶನ, ರೇಡಿಯೋಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಸಾರ ಮಾಡಿದವು. ಆಕೆಯ ಶೌರ್ಯವನ್ನು ಮನಗೊಂಡು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಪತಿಯವರು 2014 ಜನವರಿ 26ರಂದು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಶೌರ್ಯ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಗೌರವಿಸಿದರು. ಸೊ this brave story of Mahika, how she saved her brother and how she braved the floods in the temple, this story was published in all newspapers, the Doordarshan and the radio. Everybody telecasted about this incident and praising her bravery. The next year, that is in 2014, 26th January, she was given the bravery award by the President of India. And she was given the award and she was honored. ಇಂದಿನ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಮುಂದಿನ ಧೀರ ಜನಾಂಗವಾಗಬೇಕೆಂಬ ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಪತಿಯವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಭಾಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾರಿದರು. ಇಂತಹ ಸಾಹಸ ಮಾಡಿದ ಮಹಿಕಾ ಗುಪ್ತಳನ್ನು ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಂಡಾಡಿದರೂ ಸಾಲದು. So after giving her the award, the president also gave a speech where he said that this generation of such brave children have to grow. That was the message given by the president. And we have to, there is no words enough. We don't have enough words to praise her bravery. And this is a story, it is a real incident. This happened really. It's not an imaginary story. So this is a real incident that took place.